I think we're live. Welcome everyone. Welcome aboard. Great to have you. Great to see you. I'm Will Sebastian, pro multi-asset day trader and founder, of course, of Be Profitable Trading Academy. As you can probably see from the banner underneath, it's a lovely Monday morning, bright and sunny, as it always is in the UK. No, I'm really kidding. It's cold. It's dark. It's grey, but I'm ready to shine, I guess, and spread some light. If you're coming in, press the boost button. If you're watching on YouTube, press the like button, subscribe, and follow me on TradingView. The free training is underneath the video or the stream on TradingView. It's also underneath the YouTube video, and we're going to start letting people in just about now. Now I've got things set and live. So press the like, comment, like, start, subscribe, get my free training underneath if you want to learn a few things. So I'm going to give everyone a second to join in, um, and then we'll go from there. We've got a lot to look at, and we're going to cover it all right now. Okay, so let's do it then, guys. What should we pick first? Should we go for something like gold? I think gold's a good start for most people who follow me and watch me. I'm just going to move the screen over. As I said, don't forget to press the like button. Do ask me a question as well in the live chat box. So gold, I called it short about 1916. I also had some people ask me, well, I haven't shorted it yet. Can I short it? I said yes. And at the moment, you had this fall. Now, this morning, I said within this fall to lock in profit because you'd had a drip already like this. I wouldn't be shocked if it continues like that. Ultimately, you get to where you were. Remember where we shorted before? Well, that resistance becomes support, of course, as it always does. That's how markets work. They go from resistance to support and support to resistance. That is the point in levels. And I would highly suspect that you'll return to the point that we had before. You can see this early support here. So anyone who took it short, I would just maintain that bias. I'm maintaining that bias into the week, and I think it's likely you'll drive it back. There's a lot of news going on globally, so be a little bit more careful with it. But nonetheless, you can see it also coincides with this and that. Okay, so a very strong level for exits of shorts and light flip longs, I would say. Of course, you're still running with that downtrend trajectory over time. You can see it right there. I would say, in fact, you've brushed on the top of it, but I wouldn't bank everything on that. I wouldn't be surprised if it does re-break afterwards further up, just because what you've got sentiment-wise, there's a lot of tensions globally. People get a little bit worried, but I wouldn't be shocked if you get down here. In any case, I wouldn't short it or buy it if you're not already in the market. It's mainly for people who've taken it short, either there or there, and are just holding for the fall. So you could lock in gains, just let the market ride. There's a lot more people coming in now. If you're watching this, press the like. If you're going to watch it on YouTube afterwards, press the like. Do put a question in the chat box or in the comments. And of course, my free training, as mentioned, is underneath the stream, wherever you're watching. So we've done gold. If you're someone who's just come in, basically my bias persists of not entering just yet, because it's really important that you understand how markets flip bias. That's why I always say, flip long or flip short or change your bias. It's because the markets use support and resistance as a means of doing that. So, for example, when we rallied from down here, okay, when you rallied from here, you had this, and then you had this little spike there, and then you came back. I said for a long time this was resistance. I said that's probably going to get in the way of the overall trajectory, and that's exactly what occurred. It absolutely did. It came right up. That was really strong for us to cause rejection, mainly the former level, and you came away. Remember, I also said exit it early. Now, just remember the level I referred to for such a long time, because I knew it was strong resistance, was this one of 1882. Okay, that proved strong because you rejected from there over here and you came to 1870. We called it short, we called it long at that point. We said, look, exit, we've had enough of it. And now that was a short zone and now it's a long zone. So you've got to understand the transition of support and resistance and how support and resistance really works. It's going from a level where resistance previously was the ceiling for price, it becomes the floor. So if you imagine you're going for a building, let's say you've jumped up in the air. Okay, this is you. See how good my drawing is here. This is the ceiling. Okay, you jump up like this, you break through the ceiling, and then you come back, and then you land on top of the roof. The hole where you broke through is over here. Okay, the hole is over there, and this is you now. Okay, and this is literally how an uptrend works. Because you then jump, okay, well, I'm going to jump through again, and you land on the next one. And that's why markets go up. Okay, because what's happening is you are going up through the ceiling and then landing on the other side of the ceiling. So you've now got a new floor. Okay? And of course that continues. That's exactly what you've got here. Look, new floor, new floor. Can you see how every time there's a new floor? That's what uptrends do. And it's exactly the same with downtrends, only you have to flip things over. So, of course, instead of you accelerating up through the ceilings, what happens is you're now falling through them. It's probably a bit more painful. I'll give them a face. But nonetheless, that is how things work. So you then fall through the hole, okay? And then you get to the next bit, and then you get to the next bit. And you slowly fall through the floor every time. Okay? That is how trends work. That is the point of support and resistance. It's all well and good giving it a fancy name of support and resistance. You've got to understand falling through the ceiling, then you bounce on the floor, and you hit your head on the ceiling above, and you come under and you hit your head on the ceiling above. That is probably the best way to describe a downtrend in 5-year-old terms. These ceilings and these floors that get made for price, in other words, support and resistance, are there because traders react to every level and they pull positions out at every level. That's what makes an uptrend or a downtrend, and that's why markets oscillate, because they're just system of people pulling their money in and out over time, which is why I teach people globally to do that. Okay, that is my skill. Take your money out at the right time, put your money back in at the right time, and make it consistent. So that's a good lesson in support and resistance on gold. And I can make that the theme for today, I guess, because if you look at other markets, as you'll know, I've spoke in many of my videos about shorting index markets. I'm holding short again this week. Markets have fallen slightly further, but you can see real weakness, right? But again, what's happened here where you've come up and you've hit that support, sorry, that resistance, okay? If the market comes above that level there, then that becomes support once you return to it. Okay, and it becomes quite predictable. There's various different parts of that. Obviously, it's not as simple as that because you need to learn how to use all your time frames at once. And I was explaining that to a brand new member. If you're watching this, the brand new member will probably know who I'm referring to. If you've got any further query, I've written a long answer on Sunday. If you've got any further queries to that, just ask me. If you are a new member as well in my academy, don't forget to get in touch so I can assist you with whatever you need to know when you need to know it. So, yeah, I mean, this level here, that is resistance, will become support if the price breaks up and comes back. And of course, my bias is short. I think this downtrend will continue. You've got long-term sentiment against it, but the very long-term market you can see is going down. And support and resistance, like I just said, refers to every time frame. Every time frame has support and resistance. And if you can't understand how they all work as one, then you'll struggle a lot. So you probably got nearer an 88.6 fib, which is quite good. Long-term downtrending market, which you can see now. But yeah, so you come like this and you're using support and resistance. There's more resistance there. You can see that was in line. Again, like I said, if it breaks up, it might bounce at that point. But you're coming back and then you're pushing up to these key moving averages, and then you've come back. A short bias remains, and it really wouldn't surprise me if you find yourself down here at some point, because then what happens? Well, this was formerly resistance, wasn't it? This used to be resistance, and it's now support again. Okay? So you can see how the price comes back and resistance is now support. So yeah, this point, that would be your long zone, and my short bias remains on index markets as a whole. If you look at many of them, they've all got the same factor. Okay, this was your price rejection slash resistance. Like I said, that will become support if you get above eventually. I don't think that's going to happen so near to the future. I think you're probably going to go like this for a while, and then either that way or that way, depending on the market sentiment at the time. But again, there's support all around here, which was resistance via this, okay, and via that. And the levels just change constantly. That is how trading works. So we'll cover that on a few more charts. My bias remains short on all indexes, all of them. And I don't mean take a new short. I mean, I'm just holding the shorts I had. I was short on CAC about here. I'm still short, and I will probably look to lock in gains now. I think you're going to come under there. I think everything index-wise is going to drip. The sentiment's not there globally. Ors 200 is falling slightly slower, although I do think it's likely long-term you'll come under as well. Probably would consider locking in gains there just because of this, and I'll probably do that once I'm off this stream, just because you've got support there. Okay. Again, if you look at resistance that forms here, if the price had gone like this, that would be your new level of support. So it's understanding that all time frames work together, and as one amalgamation, you have different support and resistance. Your indicators will always look different as well. A lot of people get very confused. One of the biggest things in trading is literally just understanding time frames, the arrangement of data. If you can't do that, you will really struggle. You will really, really struggle. So, that's something we teach a lot. Swiss yen is also short. This is your level of resistance, but you can see again the same factor. Every single time this high is broken, which was resistance, it ends up being support. Same thing there. And it's just building new levels of support, and that's why the market is going up and up and up, because when you come back, support is very strong, because there isn't that weakness in the market yet. It's all sentiment bound, which obviously is another factor, probably for another day. But the stronger the sentiment, harsher the market will move up, and the lesser the falls will be at every level of support. DAX, I also expect to drip. There's a real negative mood about index markets, and I'm well in profit on the UK 100. I'm well in profit on the CAC, the Ors. I'm short all of it. I think you'll come down quite a lot. If you're someone who's focused on crypto, I'm not going to spend very long on this. That's all. But again, once this is broken, you come back to it, and it's new resistance. Okay. So what was formerly resistance becomes support, and then resistance again. And you'll see that continue. I don't know if you'll get up there. I don't know if you go down there. Nonetheless, Support and resistance levels remain the same. I wouldn't trade crypto at the moment. It's not something I teach or trade because you've got so many other stable assets which you could look at, euro, etc. Things people have been trading for a very long time. There's weakness in the euro. I think that is going to be your new level of support. And that's where I'd space out for new entries. I also think on your pound at the current point, you've got the same thing. Weakness in the market, very small candles. Wouldn't be shocked if you end up dripping lower to this point. Okay, so I think there's real room to move with dollar strength. Broad, I've said about getting lower for a very long time. I mean, you can just see by looking at it how weak that is. It's terribly weak. Every single push leads to rejection. You can see that every single time. And that is never going to be good if you want an upside move. I think you'll continue to trickle. And I'd probably refer to former levels of support over here. Okay, you can see that. So I'm not too focused on the all at the moment because I just think you'll keep dripping along. Your New Zealand dollar is the same. Okay, this dollar strength is just dragging all of it down. Okay, and I think you'll come to those longer term levels of support. Right? So that you get resistance form there, price comes below it, then up to it here. Just in that sense, your support was there. Price returns at that point, comes underneath it, and then it comes back to it. Then it gets rejected back and then up through it. So support and resistance always breaks eventually. It's all about understanding which time frame you're using, which support and resistance you're looking at, and why. And coordinating your size along with that. The FTSE is now getting dragged down even lower. The reason why I've held it short is because like I just said, literally just said, this is all support, but it's got to go at some point. It's not going to last forever. And then what you'll find is what was previously resistance becomes support. But also, with that is understanding that you cannot simply just pick the hourly chart and say, wow, this is support, and just trade whatever size you want because you've got no contingency plan. And it's very unlikely that you're going to take the trade off at the right time or get in it at the right time. So as I said, if you want to do that, join my academy. Been press the boost if you're just coming in. Morning to this person. If you want to ask a question there, do so. If you're watching on YouTube, the link's under the stream as well. Do like, share, comment, and subscribe, and ask me a question in the comments as well. Thanks, guys. So I'm going to go for oil and just cover support and resistance there. I'm theming these streams a lot more at this point because I'm uploading a lot of content to YouTube, so I can grow on there. I haven't done that for a long time, so I thought it would be quite ideal. So you had your support again, okay, then you had resistance. Like I said a minute ago, resistance eventually gets broken. Now you're coming back to it as support, and you can see what's happening. On the return to this very early support, you're already not having a forceful move down, which tells you that it's being supported, hence the name. So it wouldn't shock me if you do get higher on oil, and I'm holding hedges to the long side on oil in case, due to earlier shorts. So my point really being that you've broken this resistance and it now becomes support. But you've got to understand how all time frames coincide as one. What you'll see is a lot of people post exactly what I just said. They'll open up something like the 4 hour. They'll say, okay, well, I'm the best. I'm really good at this. Look, here's your support. You should buy here. That's not the case. It's not the case. I'm just describing to you why the price is stalling, okay? Because you don't have downside negative sentiment and you've got very early support. Doesn't mean you should buy. If you're holding longs, that's okay, but not taking new ones, it's a lot different. So oil, there is your levels and why there at that point. Um, did just talk about the Swiss yen. The dollar yen, I also like short at this point. You can see a little bit of weakness, and there's many levels of resistance are likely to form. I think longer term, you'll probably get down here. Again, what sustains an uptrend? Well, you're breaking through the ceiling, you're landing on the other side on the next level on the floor. Or you bounce a basketball on the floor, it pings up and it smashes through, your mum's ceiling. And she shouts, like I did when I was younger. Not the ceiling, it's more like the window. But my point is simple. You're breaking through and then you just come back to it, and that's what creates an uptrend. It's this continuous support. That's why people call it support, because it supports the price, believe it or not. Okay, you can see it all throughout here. And it works on every time frame. You cannot just pick one time frame because there's going to be support and resistance on every time frame. Okay, it's understanding the different terms of the market in terms of the time the trade is likely to take, and of course your trading style within that trade. If I swap onto your New Zealand pairs, you can see a similar process now. Okay, you can see you've come up on the 4 hour and you're dipping back to what was resistance, okay, and is now support. But like I said, that was support as well. It doesn't mean you just pick that level and say, I want to get long, okay? Because if you've now got poor risk management, you would be out of it, even if it bounces at this point. Okay? But that's another instance where you've broken up and you come back to your support. Now, the reason why you need to know how time frames work is because you're probably wondering, well, when is it going to stop going up? Okay, and that is totally time frame dependent, because if you change a time frame, it's going to give you a different answer every single time. That's what confuses people about trading. I mean, that's what they don't understand. And also, you'll probably get a poorer entry because if you look at the current candle, you've got immediate rejection. So let's go to a higher time frame like the monthly. You can see various instances again where this was resistance and then it's become support. Okay, and that's exactly what you've got now. I would expect much longer term, hence the monthly chart, to get back lower, as I've said for a very long time, if you're someone who's interested in the pound New Zealand. But you're likely to get a bit of trouble with falling straight away, I would imagine, because of what I'm labelling now. Okay, that's your newfound support after coming through it as resistance. You can see the same thing occurring there. So naturally, the probability of rejection increases where you have larger rejection in the market, or support and resistance. Okay, you can call it what you want. I normally call it rejection, but you've got a very early sign of getting long here, because if you bought it, okay, well, it has popped up, but the problem is you can see there's a lot of rejection in that. Okay? So you do have a nice swoop, that's good. Come back and you would have expected something like that, at least to this point, but you haven't had that. So you need to be wary if you're looking to trade / enter it. I've got the Euro New Zealand. By the way, you can join my Discord as well. The link's underneath. I post a lot in there. But mainly I would encourage people who are members and who have paid me to get on board, just to ask questions, because the longer you don't ask questions, the more really you're going to struggle, and it's going to get difficult. If you look again on the 4 hour on Euro New Zealand, you've got the same thing. Very early rejection, bit of a difficult stochastic oscillator, and no real impetus. Okay, I would still say it's worth a smidge long, not particularly the Euro New Zealand, because if you look at your higher time frames, just doesn't look very nice, does it? You would expect another big green candle if it was maintaining its force. So for that reason, maybe a dip of the toe in pound New Zealand might be ideal. Otherwise, you could trade something like the pound CAD. I can see weakness there. You could lightly short. Same with the Euro CAD. I'm not highly convinced on how far they will go. on their own. Your dollar CAD at this point, again, you've come down, you've got support, you come up, you get resistance, and things start to get tighter because you're almost back where you just fell. Okay, so things like the dollar CAD are for light positions, maybe up here, maybe down there. I would only consider shorting about 136. Looking at that former, okay, that was support when the price came like this, wasn't it? You know, it looks like a head and shoulders, if you like, if that's what you want to call it. I just call it an up and down. I think it's quite easier to understand that way. I mean, you could call it whatever you want. You could call it the cactus. Okay, it doesn't really matter. The point is, that was support here. We just draw it with another arrow. That was support, wasn't it? Because you came from up here and that's support, but now it's resistance. Again, just like I was saying. So training your eye to understand when support and resistance change and your bias needs to change accordingly is a time frame matter. However, the core principle of what I'm saying is simply that support becomes resistance, resistance becomes support. Okay, and you've seen that across various charts. FTSE's now dragging slightly more. I would imagine various indexes are a little bit on the E-mini futures for S&P. I will just go over the NASDAQ. Done a lot of posts on these charts this month. I'm going to do another one in a minute. The NASDAQ, I spoke about my short bias. It's still coming down. Again, just complete clear understanding needs to be made here. If you look where I'm drawing these, you can see right now, again, that is your area of support. There's various areas there. So of course, the chance of you bouncing is more likely inherently because you've got more rejection. The more rejection, the higher probability of reflection, if you like. I guess that's a good term to use, and that's what really gives me a bias concerning a fall further on your NASDAQ 14,870 area. So if you were short, I wouldn't be surprised you drift down like various other indexes. But again, just to clarify, and I'll probably label this stream all about support and resistance, but this was your resistance. Okay, if you take the chart like this, that was your resistance, and then eventually price breaks through. Now what happens straight away? Well, it comes back, doesn't it? And that is your support, and then it comes away. That is how the uptrend begins. It begins with a breaking of a level a lot of the time, return to the former level, and then a continuation in that way because the support is giving it a leg up on each ceiling. If you like, someone's effectively standing there, like I said at the start of this video, giving you a leg up to the next level of the ceiling. And there's another person on that ceiling, gives you another leg up through the hole in the ceiling. Okay, and suddenly what happens is you start to move up through the levels. That's exactly what you're seeing now. That's exactly how markets are working. Okay, so it's like this. Remember, just to clarify, each ceiling is on different levels. Sometimes you go back at the floor. Okay, ultimately you end up higher. So you start on level 1. That's ceiling 2. Let's label it and clarify. There's a lot of people in here, guys. If you're learning a lot, do press the like. Great. 2, there you are. And then there is level 3. And these are all ceilings you're breaking through. Okay? Sometimes you hit your head, but eventually you break through. And that forms the basis for an uptrend over time. It's support and resistance changing roles. Okay? It's really important to understand that. And you need to change your role as well. Okay, you need to change your bias. It's going to have to flip from long to short and short to long, right? Because your goal, like I said, is to come through this level where you're standing someone that gives you a leg up, and that's why you rebuy, because you're looking to trade with that natural market movement and how markets move long term. Okay, and you've got to know when to stop that. It's all time frame based. So that is, like I said, a masterclass in support and resistance. That is how you do it. That is how trends work. And I think that probably calls it for today. If you want to trade professionally like myself with my strategy, don't forget to go under the stream for the link. It's right there. If you're watching this on YouTube, go there underneath as well. Do like, comment, and share. If you can press the boost right now, guys, that'd be fantastic. Morning to you guys in the chat. And it's been really great. We've covered a lot. And of course, I'll see you in the next one. If it's helped, let me know. If you want to get in touch, go underneath the stream. See you in the next one, guys.